The blast came out of nowhere. Honestly, it sounded like someone dropped a stick of dynamite right in the middle of my quiet little street, and for a second, I thought maybe I was dreaming. 1 minute, Maple Ridge is dead calm, silent as a church after midnight, and the next, the whole neighborhood explodes into chaos. Windows rattling, car alarms shrieking, porch lights popping on one after another like a nervous line of dominoes. I just stood there in my kitchen, still clutching my coffee, watching the spoon spin slow circles, thinking, well, that sure as hell isn't supposed to happen on a Tuesday night. Yeah, that happened. Let me tell you, nothing will snap you out of a weeknight fog like the sound of your neighbor's house going up in smoke. So I step outside, trying to play it cool, acting like none of this phases me, even though my heart's hammering so loud I swear the whole block can hear it. And what do I see? There it is, smoke, thick and black, just billowing out of Karen Whitmore's perfect, freshly whitewashed chimney, curling up into the sky like the punchline to a joke the universe has been dying to tell. Neighbors pour out of their front doors, all slippers and bathrobes and wild bed hair, cell phones up, voices bouncing off each other. Everybody yelling questions, nobody knowing anything. And right there, in the thick of it, is Karen herself, standing in the driveway like she's starring in some kind of disaster movie, hair half-fried, robe on sideways, hollering at the firefighters about sabotage and faulty firewood. Yeah, you heard that right, sabotage in Maple Ridge Estates. But here's the best part. I already know exactly what happened. I knew because for weeks I'd been watching Karen sneak into my backyard after dark, tiptoeing like some amateur cat burglar, helping herself to logs from my wood pile. The same stack she once fined me for, because it was, and I quote, an eyesore. Oh, the irony, right? So when her precious fireplace finally exploded in a little cloud of poetic justice, well, let's just say I didn't feel a lick of guilt. Karen, you lit the wrong fire this time. Let me back up a second. If you're new around here, let me know where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to hit that like button if you're into real HOA drama, because Maple Ridge? We've got enough stories to fill a library, and every single one is wilder than the last. Now, from the outside, Maple Ridge Estates is the kind of place realtors drool over. Every lawn trimmed to regulation height, every mailbox painted the same shade of nervous beige, every family quietly following the rules, or at least pretending to. When I first moved here 8 years ago, right after my wife passed, I was just looking for a fresh start, somewhere quiet, out at the end of a cul-de-sac where nobody knew my story and nobody cared. I stumbled on this place almost by accident, tucked behind rows of sugar maples, a spot where even the breeze seemed a little more polite. The HOA promised structure, fairness, community, all that jazz. Honestly, back then, I thought a little structure might be exactly what I needed to keep from falling apart. I work from home, freelance mechanical engineer, so my garage became my office, my backyard my workshop, tools lined up neat on one wall, my old smoker on the other, and, yeah, my pride and joy, a perfectly stacked firewood pile tucked in the corner like a little fortress. Splitting wood was never about staying warm for me. It was therapy. Honest work. Just me and my axe, the crack of the oak splitting clean, sawdust in the air. No emails, no deadlines, no ghosts from the past, just something solid I could actually control. Every fall, I'd stack that wood so neat you could set your coffee on it. And sometimes I did. It was my little patch of freedom in a place that, if I'm being real, sometimes cared more about appearances than people. The neighbors were all right, mostly. The Millers always dropped off a pumpkin pie come Thanksgiving. Mr. Jenkins waved at me every morning, watering his roses like clockwork. Folks here stuck to themselves, friendly, but never too close. That's just the Maple Ridge way. Don't make noise, don't make waves, keep your head down. The HOA called it maintaining standards, but I always thought it was more about not giving anybody a reason to notice you. And for years, that suited me fine. I paid my dues, mowed my grass, painted my fence the approved shade, kept my mouth shut. It was so peaceful. Sometimes I'd forget that life used to be noisy, messy, unpredictable. But here's the thing. Peace like that never really lasts. In a place like this, quiet only exists because everyone's a little too scared to disturb it. All it takes is one person who thinks they know what's best for everyone else to turn that quiet into something sharp. For 8 years, I thought I'd found some kind of stability until Karen Whitmore blew in. She showed up like a one-woman parade, all pearls and pressed blouses, voice loud enough to carry from one end of the block to the other. Within a week, she'd introduced herself as our new HOA president. No vote, no warning, just pure confidence and a clipboard. That's how it started. Suddenly, Karen was everywhere, strutting the sidewalks like a mall cop with something to prove, tape measure dangling from her wrist, snapping photos of everything. Mailboxes, garden gnomes, you name it. She sent out bulletins titled Aesthetic Harmony, with random rules and smiley faces, and half the time, nobody had a clue what she was talking about. At first, I'll admit, I found it funny. Every neighborhood has one, right? The busybody, the enforcer. I figured, so long as she left me in my woodpile alone, I'd just keep my head down. But Karen doesn't leave anybody alone. One cloudy Tuesday, I'm outside stacking a fresh load of oak, and suddenly I hear heels. Yeah, heels clicking on my gravel driveway. I turn, and there she is, sunglasses, even though the sun's hiding, clipboard cocked like she's about to write me a ticket. "Mr. Thompson," she says, in that voice that makes you feel like you're being read your last rites. "Your firewood stack is visible from the street. That's a violation of the community aesthetic standard." I look at her, look at my wood pile, and honestly, I have to fight not to laugh. "Karen, it's firewood, not a sculpture garden." Her smile vanishes, replaced by this steely look. "Rules are rules, Mr. Thompson. We all agreed." She gives me 10 days to move it. I don't move it. I just stack a little neater, scoot it an inch closer to the shed, go on with my week. Thought that'd be the end of it. Nope. Next bulletin comes out. There's my stack blurred in the background, a photo labeled unsightly storage areas. No names, but everyone knows. Jenkins leans over his fence. Guess who made the list? The Millers shake their heads. Don't poke the bear. But sometimes the bear comes looking for you. I try to ignore it. Ignore the letter. Ignore the whispers. I just keep splitting wood. But Karen? She's like a dog with a bone. She doesn't get bored. She gets even. A few weeks roll by, and suddenly I notice something strange. My wood pile's shrinking. At first, I think maybe I'm just burning more than I thought, but then it happens again. I start counting. 20 logs missing. Then another row disappears. By the end of the week, I'm down nearly 50 pieces. I start asking around. Jenkins laughs. Must be some strong kids. The Millers blame the landscapers. But this is Maple Ridge. Kids don't mess with other people's stuff, and landscapers don't work at midnight. Then one morning I spot it. Faint high-heel prints in the dew by the gate. And that telltale whiff of perfume. The same one Karen leaves behind at every meeting. I mean, come on. Who else around here sneaks around at night in heels? So I notch every log, set up a little motion sensor, wait. Sure enough, my cameras catch her. Karen, after midnight, flashlight in one hand, loading logs into her SUV like she's pulling off a heist. The woman who fined me for unsightly wood is now the Maple Ridge phantomwood thief. I nearly bust a gut laughing. I could have called the cops, but folks like Karen, they're not afraid of consequences. They're terrified of getting caught. So I wait. 2 days later, it's HOA meeting night. Karen starts the show, grilling me in front of everybody for my firewood violation, even threatens another fine. I let her talk, just smile, then quietly pull out my phone and cast a video on the projector. Dead silence. Then laughter. First a snicker, then the whole room erupts. Karen, caught in 4K, sneaking through my yard in heels, stealing firewood. "That's edited," she sputters. "Time stamped," I say, grinning. Same night you send my violation letter. Even Mrs. Beasley, our stone-faced treasurer, is hiding a smile behind her mug. By the end of the meeting, Karen's gone red as a fire truck, storming out so hard the windows shake. You'd think that would be the end, right? Nope. 3 days after the explosion, I find a letter taped to my door. Urgent disciplinary action. Karen's called a special HOA hearing, accusing me of sabotage, says I endangered her home. On the night of the hearing, the place is packed. Karen sits up front, folder labeled evidence, looking like she's ready to prosecute me for war crimes. She accuses me of malicious behavior, unauthorized security devices, dangerous materials. I let her go on, then lay out the fire inspector's report. Foreign material placed inside fireplace. Firewood obtained from external, unverified source. Her own written statement. I didn't buy the firewood. I just took it. And for the finale, I play the video again. Karen in all her midnight glory, stealing my logs. That's when the room turns. The new vice president, Wilson, calls for an emergency vote. One by one, hands go up. Karen's out, relieved of duty, effective immediately. She grabs her purse, mutters something about lawyers, and storms out for good. The room bursts into applause. First a slow clap, then thunderous. Jenkins leans over grinning. That was one hell of a fireworks show. And just like that, Maple Ridge actually became a community again. Wilson took over as HOA president. Quiet, fair, no nonsense. People started waving to each other, grilling out, telling Realwood jokes at block parties. Nobody worried about getting fined for wind chimes or mailbox color. It was like the neighborhood finally remembered how to breathe. A few months pass. One afternoon, I'm out by the fire pit, tending the flames, and I hear the gate creak. It's Karen. Hair shorter, no pearls, no heels, just a simple coat. She says she came to collect some boxes she'd left in the shed. I walk with her for the first time. She looks tired, not angry, just someone who's lost her way trying to control everything. Still playing with fire? I see. She jokes, her voice softer than I've ever heard it. Only the safe kind, I reply. She tries to explain herself, says she just wanted things to be right, controlled, predictable. I tell her, control isn't order, Karen. It's just fear dressed up as leadership. She gives me a weak smile, thanks me, and heads off down the drive. No drama, no threats, just silence. For the first time, she looks almost human. And that's the thing, right? Sometimes the justice that matters most isn't about revenge or humiliation or making someone hurt as much as they hurt you. Sometimes it's about balance, showing everyone, even yourself, that respect goes both ways and that control without compassion just burns everything it touches. Maple Ridge finally remembered how to laugh, how to be a neighborhood again. So, here's my question for you. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have kept quiet, called the cops, or lit a little poetic justice of your own? Drop your thoughts below, share your wildest HOA stories. And if you want more of this, hit subscribe. Because out here in Maple Ridge, and maybe in your own backyard, karma always collects.